So here's part 2 of signing and deafness. So the next sentence would be, the deaf person says, I was born deaf. So you would say born. So this is like your womb and you have that and you were born deaf. Born deaf. I was born deaf. Oh, mom, dad deaf? Are your mother and father deaf? So you would say, some people start up here and go down here because they go to deaf. But you kind of get into like salt and pepper, right? The order that you say it. So I say mom and dad deaf. I always do mom and dad. That's just the order in which I do it. But if you want to do dad, mom, deaf, question mark, are they deaf? And so now back in the old days, there was a deaf club. And so all the deaf would go there, interpreters would go, CODA, CODA, Children of Deaf Adults would go. And but now they have more like a deaf chat. You're just chatting. So deaf chats. And many times they'll all meet at a restaurant or a coffee house, coffee place. So a Starbucks or whatever. So they could say, oh, I want to go visit a deaf club. Or you could say, oh, I want to go to a deaf chat. Or are there any deaf chats? So remember, time, we don't have it. We have our deaf chat. And do you say, I want to go? Or do you know of any deaf chats? So we'll do both. So deaf chat, have? I would ask that first because it depends on the size of city that you have. And they would say, oh, yes, we have them all. Like where I was from a big city. And so the deaf chats would move around, around the city so that whoever lived really far and they couldn't go, then maybe they could go where it's close to them. Now I live in a smaller city, and so the deaf chat, there's one place, and they go, oh, deaf chat you have? Yes, every month. The first, remember our calendar, the first Monday or the first Wednesday every month. Oh, cool, where is it? And then they can tell them the address. So that's how you would ask that. If I want to go, and so I can practice my signing to go to the deaf chat. Signing. You put it out there on your hands. So you could do sign. I enjoy watching TV, the closed captioning, right? I enjoy watching TV with captioning. Now, there's 2 ways to do captioning. So, first of all, here's our topic is TV. Not the captioning, is TV. And that you enjoy watching it with the captions. So, TV, watching it or watching it. I like watch. But this is a lot, I see this a lot, watch. And now you can say, some people say closed caption is kind of an old sign, closed captioning, CC, closed captioning. I'd probably do closed captioning, but you could do CC or closed captioning because it's a sentence going across the screen at the bottom. TV, watch, closed captioning. I enjoy it. So that's how you would ask about that. And so what happens when they go to the movies, sometimes they'll have like a deaf movie night. And if it's at the theater, then they'll have like an open captioning. And they'll have that. And so they can watch movies at the theater. And sometimes the theaters will have the glasses where the caption goes across there. I think that would be kind of annoying. But, I have not experienced that. But I know that there are some theaters, that's what they have instead of the open captioning. So, because hearing people get kind of annoyed with that. But, try it and see what, many people, that way you don't have to have it so, turn it up loud, or if you're getting older or hard of hearing, you're losing your hearing, then you can watch watch the closed captioning on your TV and practice. Okay. I saw a captioned movie last night, and they were probably at home. They could have been at the theater. So I saw a captioned, so they didn't say it's closed captioned or open captioned, just captioned. So we do have a time, last night, remember? So before night, last night's it's in the past. You could say last night. I always do because my hand's now in the same shape as night. Last night, movie, watched, I was going to say see, but watched, closed captioning. Last night, movie, watched, closed captioning. And in English, it's last night I saw a captioned movie. Doesn't say whether it's closed captioned or whether it's open captioned. Did you go to a residential school for deaf children? And that is a big question. So you want to know if they went to the deaf school, this is an institute, deaf school, or mainstream. Remember we did this for match? This is, we all kind of, you're two different people. You have your hearing people and your deaf people, and they merge. This is a sign for merge. Okay, so did you go to the residential school? And let's even expand it to, like, did you go to the deaf school or did you go to mainstream school? Because that's a question that is asked more frequently today instead of just the deaf school. So we're asking about not a time, but we're asking about school, right? Which one did they go to? So we're going to do deaf school and then hearing school. Which? And you could ask them all different kinds about that, but let's just do that. So no time. So deaf school, now you're going to have it over here. Now you're going to move it for your mainstream school. Deaf school, mainstream, which? So, you know, you go, you could say deaf school, mainstream, you go which? You go which? You could even say it like that. Which one did you go to? And then they might respond, I went to a school for hearing children. So they would answer, I went to mainstream. Oh, mean mainstream. Mainstream. Ah, okay. Ah, I see. Oh, I see. That's the gloss for that. Oh, I see. Oh, oh, okay, cool. Your baby, oh, cool. Or cool. Gallaudet College was the first college for deaf people. So, we don't have a time, but we do have Gallaudet University. Gallaudet University was the first for the deaf. Okay. Gallaudet was the man who set up the school for the deaf originally. And Gallaudet University is in Washington, D.C. And every deaf person, they know where that is. So this is the sign for Gallaudet. This is or Gallaudet, however you pronounce it. But this is his name sign, the person. But it's also the sign for the college because it's named after him. Gallaudet University, Gallaudet University, first university for the deaf. Okay, so for deaf. Gallaudet University, first university for deaf. And you don't have to say deaf people because they consider themselves deaf. They categorize people deaf or hearing. Not derogatory. It's a culture of how you interact with the world. And it is different. And if you're around deaf people long enough, or you are in a deaf family, then you already understand that it is different how they perceive the world and how they interact with the world. That's why it's considered a different culture. Okay, so many deaf students enter hearing colleges. which is true. Most of them do not go to Gallaudet. Um, so many deaf learn. Many deaf students, so learners, I'm sorry, I was just kind of, what is it? Because I was trying to get it into the language that we speak today. This is an older textbook. Many deaf students enter or go to a mainstream school. They say hearing school. This is how they say it. Many deaf students enter hearing colleges. But let's update it to, because many deaf students go to hearing schools. Let's do mainstream. Okay. Many, I know we're talking about deaf colleges. It's hard to know what the topic is here. But we're going to do many deaf students. Many deaf students, which is learners. Remember, we take the information, we put it into our head, and then we have our person. Students go to, now let's do it two different ways. A hearing college. We did university with a U, and this is college. Or you could say many deaf students go to a mainstream college. You could do it either way, right? Many deaf students go to a hearing college, or many deaf students go to mainstream college, because they do have deaf people at the colleges, but there isn't a section for deaf education. So mainstream may not fit their understanding of that. It could just be a hearing college, but there's only one deaf college. So you could, I think you could do that sentence either way. But when you start thinking about it logically and parsing it out, analyzing it, you could say, because mainstream, going, well, in mainstream schools, public schools, that's because they have the deaf ed and they have regular ed, and sometimes they put them into the regular ed with an interpreter, and they don't have a deaf ed in colleges. You could do it that way. I mean, sometimes I overanalyze things, but it's always good to analyze to make sure you're saying things culturally appropriate. But in this case, because mainstream is so common and well known now, and I know it's a mixture of hearing and deaf, you might be able to do mainstream. And if you don't do mainstream, you could do a hearing college. But but it's not exclusively anymore. You know what I'm saying? It is a mixture. Let's go on to the next one, and so you can kind of practice that and feel deaf people out and see what they prefer, and let me know in the comments section. Okay, and I already told you that Gallaudet University was in Washington, D.C., but let's learn the sign for Washington, D.C. So Gallaudet University is in Washington, D.C. We don't have to sign is or in. So we already know Gallaudet. Some people say Gallaudet because it's spelled with a U, but I always say Gallaudet. I can't talk now. Okay, Gallaudet, and you could do in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. This is Washington State, and when you add the D.C., of course, then it's in Washington, D.C. You could say Gallaudet University there, Washington, D.C. Gallaudet University in Washington, D.C. I would probably say there. I would think that's more grammatically correct. It is in Washington, D.C., in the city limits. It is. You could say in, or you could say it's there. Either way, either sentence is correct. And here's our last sentence. Blind people read Braille. Deaf people do not. And you're thinking, that is so crazy, Eileen. But you would be surprised how many people ask me if I know Braille. or they'll ask that deaf person, do they know Braille? Braille is for people who cannot see. Deaf people learn to read English because they can see. So I know that you're thinking disability and people get it mixed up. I understand that. So, but a lot of people say that, and you may have said that yourself. Oh, do you read Braille? And a lot of deaf people do go blind, and they do have to learn how to read Braille. I had to go and interpret a for a whole week this training about people that are going blind and how to cook and how to read, and they're learning Braille. And so I had a deaf person who was going blind, has Usher's syndrome, which that's what it causes, is deaf people to go blind. They go deaf first usually, and then they go blind. And so they have to learn how to navigate the world where they can't see or hear. I know, it's sad. Okay, so here's it's really kind of a compound sentence. So our first sentence is blind people. So we hit blind people, Braille. And then the second sentence is deaf, do not. Okay, so blind people, Braille. Now, this is the sign for Braille because you're touching the dots. And they have a light, you're supposed to have a light touch because the dots, they're up there, but you have to have a light touch to touch it, to feel all the dots and where they are in the order that they're in. So this is the sign for Braille. Blind people, Braille. Deaf, do not. And I always shake my head, even though I'm doing not, because it's already a precursor and they already know whatever it is you're saying, no. So, blind people, Braille, yes, Braille, deaf, not. Okay? So that's our last sentence on deafness and signing. And so I just hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you later. Bye.